Hey everyone, it's Saint Pam again. Today I'm going to talk about how you can successfully host role playing events in a tavern, or uh, just how you can successfully find role play in a tavern as well. Now, this could mean a few things. For many role players, again, it just means hanging out in a tavern. We can take advantage of this by running the bar. There are a few guilds that do just that. For others, taverns are places to host events once in a while. We'll talk about all of these and some ways that I have personally used taverns. So, the first I want to talk about is just hanging out in a tavern. While there are role players that abhor uh, tavern RP, I'm not one of them. Taverns can serve as social hubs where role players can meet people and maybe even create a few new storylines. Too often, though, I've seen people that walk into a tavern and just do a lot of emotes about drinking before they wander off, without even attempting to start a conversation with anyone else. If you are trying to engage in random RP, then you need to be willing to approach others, and you need to be approachable. You may find some role playing once in a while just by being there, but you are more likely to find it if you put yourself out there. I know that this can be difficult for some, especially people that are new to role playing. I used to be a really shy role player myself. I didn't tend to put myself out there as much as I do now. I really never approached anyone. I hardly even talked to people in character. But the more you get used to it, the easier it'll come. So if you start trying to put yourself out there now, it'll come a little bit faster. Um, However, for the experienced role players, I think that you also need to be willing to approach your shy counterparts. I mean, we've all been new role players before, and there's some people who, even when they have become experienced role playing, are still a little shy and not really comfortable approaching other people. Maybe that's also just how their character is. And so we need to be willing to approach them. That way we have an opportunity to make new friends. Um, I mean, honestly, you never know what sort of awesome storylines await you if you don't try. What I personally like to use taverns for is, of course, gathering with my guilties, but those gatherings tend to be dual purpose. Now, right now, because I took a hiatus from WoW, I've got to build my guild back up, but um, before, I used them as meeting places for recruitment. So we would hang around in the tavern as a guild, but generally, I was also advertising to try to draw people to the tavern we were hanging out with, and so that we could get some more recruits. And wow, there is one tavern in Stormwind that my guild used to frequent, and we will once again once I build the numbers back up. Um, you may be familiar with it. It's the Shady Lady. We are kind of a pirate guild, so the seedier feel of uh, the Shady Lady, though it's not a bigger tavern like some of those in WoW, works for us. This setting may not work for all guilds. The more martial guilds may find that other locations work for them better, or um, the more religious oriented guilds and the like, they may find different settings work better. But for the seedier guilds, like pirate guilds and mercenaries, smugglers, things like that, Yeah, a tavern would certainly work. And the seedier the tavern, in my opinion, the better. It also helps that my guild often joined in for me because it gave the new recruits a chance to meet with their new guildmates early on. They got to interact with them, got to see how everyone fit together. Um, Honestly, that's how my husband joined. A bunch of us were in the tavern when my husband started playing again, and he came in and joined the guild, and uh, he was actually playing a my my captain's husband. So it ended up with some really interesting RP because she thought he was dead. So yeah, you can definitely get some interesting RP going on that way. Um, Whether it's somewhat pre-planned like that was um, for me and him. The other guildies didn't know that was going to happen, but my husband and I obviously knew. It can also be awesome for random role playing. I mean, there's been people who came in, didn't even know I was recruiting, and I've pulled them into the guild. It's pretty awesome. And so there's definitely potential for role playing in taverns, especially if you're a guild leader trying to find new recruits. Um, Now, I would like to talk about how you can successfully host an event in a tavern. There are a lot of things you can do to host events. What I've personally noticed has worked the best is having a variety of things to do. It shouldn't just be a gathering where all you do is drink and talk, unless perhaps it's a guild meeting. Again, for the seedier guilds, a tavern could work for a guild meeting, and then yeah, drinking and talking, go for it. If it's an in character guild meeting. Um, but those are the sort of things that happen every day in a bar. So we don't really want that to be all that you're doing if you're trying to host an event. Events should be special. They should have a variety of things to do or um, be related to a specific storyline. The best tavern based event I ever attended started with there being uh, music and dancing. Then drinks were passed around while the cook made dinner. We played some truth and dare, got to know one another and the like before the food was ready. It ended with us sitting around and gambling small amounts of gold. I'm not saying that you have to do it this way, but it's something to keep in mind. Having a variety of things to do helps to keep it entertaining rather than it just being we're sitting around and eating. Um, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. We've done things like that around the holiday events, especially. Um, oh, I forget what the Thanksgiving one is called. But the event that WoW has around Thanksgiving, where they have the tables outside of the main cities, we've sat around those and ate and met new people and stuff. There is definitely a place for that. It shouldn't be the focus all the time, though. Um, it's just the variety. Again, it does help it to be more entertaining overall. And finally, I want to go over the guilds that roleplay running the tavern. Now, this sort of ties in with the event. There are a lot of guilds that do this in World of Warcraft and Guild Wars, so on and so forth. There's a lot of guilds that pretend they're actually the ones running the tavern. Some of them will name themselves after said tavern. So I know Guild has Guild Wars. I forget what the name of the main one there is, but in World of Warcraft, there is the Salty Sailor and Booty Bay. So there's a guild that's got themselves named after that, and they run it. Um, that's the main one I can think of. Yeah, that's the main one that comes to mind, but I'm sure there's others in WoW as well that do the same thing. I just don't tend to go to the bigger taverns in Stormwind, and I haven't really visited the other cities because uh, I guess we could go to Darnassus as it is accessible by the sea, but you know, with us being sailors, going by the sea is better. Um, there's just so much more you can do than just being a bar, though. And that's what most of these places do. In games that allow for there to be music, like Lord of the Rings, Ion, and Guild Wars, and the like, they have that functionality. Um, you could have a bard. Maybe you hire one, or maybe you encourage people who role play traveling bards to come and play by giving them discounts or free room to sleep or whatever the case is, depending on the type of tavern you have. Music helps to draw people in the real world. Now, that may not necessarily be the case because most people are going to go into taverns for random role play anyway, but it can still help give a better atmosphere. Now, I know World of Warcraft already has tavern specific music, so it doesn't necessarily apply there, but if there's people in that particular game that are playing bards, then they can go through the motions like they're the ones playing the music. So it can still be done, it's just a little more difficult. It's not as easy as it is with the games that actually have that functionality. Um, for some, you could have gambling. I mean, it could be a casino type thing that actually has a bar. And you could have people who want to do different things. For WoW, dice based games would work very well because you have the in game dice roller. In some other games, you may have to be a little bit more creative. Um, in in WoW again, with the pets and the fact that you have the pet battles now, you could kind of have a betting thing going on that. I don't necessarily think that's the best thing because uh, it could be seen as mean, depending on how close your character is to their companion that they use for the battles. But it's another possibility. Um, you could be a bar and grill instead of just being a bar. Have people that go to the tables and serve food. Um, try to encourage dates or have something that maybe you do like the many restaurants do for people's birthdays where you bring a cake to their table or something like that. Um, you could use them to host weddings or receptions. Really, there's so much you can do with a tavern. You just need to be creative. There are plenty of taverns that act only as a place to drink, or plenty of taverns that don't have a guild hosting, uh, a guild taking it over as though it's theirs. So people can go there and just drink if that's what they want to do. If you're going to host a, I keep saying host and that's not what I mean, but if you're going to be one of those guilds that runs a tavern, then try to be more creative. Don't just do what the built-in taverns in the game already do. Do something different. Do something creative. Do something to make yourself stand out. The possibilities are really limitless, and it's really just a matter of thinking outside of the box. It can be successful, but you really just need to make yourself stand out. That's about all that I have for the moment. I would love to hear what ideas you have for hosting events or just day to day RP in taverns. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. I don't have anything specific for next week yet, but I'm thinking of it and getting everything together. Anyway, thank you, and y'all have a great day.